plane disasters stand tall as some of the most horrifying occurrences that can happen. Trapped in a tin can, thousands of feet in the air, with the aircraft's body as the only line of defense against a harsh plummet to Earth. In terms of bad things happening aboard a plane, a passenger detonating a bomb may be top of the heap. This is the story of Vesna Vulovic and her survival of this nightmare turned real. A Serbian native, Vesna Vulovic adored travel in any capacity after studying abroad in London to improve her English. Unbeknownst to Vesna, this growing love would lead her to be the sole survivor in a plane bombing tragedy, even unintentionally slotting herself in the Guinness Book of World Records for endurance. And like many with similar stories to her, she's riddled with guilt to this day. Upon her return to Belgrade, Serbia, Vesna commented on a flight attendant's outfit, also her friend, which implanted the idea of becoming one herself eventually. In 1971, this opportunity opened for her to join Yugoslavia's airline, JAT Airways, a chance she immediately leaped on, and she succeeded as a flight attendant, or stewardess, until 8 months later. On January 26, 1972, Vesna was assigned to JAT Flight 367 from Stockholm to Belgrade, her hometown. Once on board the plane, quickly she found out that she was mistaken for another flight attendant of the same name, and the issues began. Following the incident, Vesna reminisced on the attitude between the crew members, describing it as tense and overbearing, even creepily stating that everyone wanted to buy something for his or her family, so I had to go shopping with them. They seemed to know they would die. The captain allegedly was locked in his room for an entire day with no direction, leaving the crew largely in the dark as to their plans. At 2:30 p.m., a delayed McDonnell Douglas DC-9 landed at the airport to refuel, change crews, and allow the passengers to roam. Red flags immediately went up as one man allegedly never got back on that flight. Flight 367 would take off itself 45 minutes later, and at 4:01 p.m., a devastating luggage bomb detonated in the cargo hold, blowing the plane apart without question and sending immediate panic. The passengers weren't left much time to react, not that it would have mattered, as the cabin depressurized in moments and launched many of them out of the fragmented aircraft. To Vesna's luck, she was trapped near the food cart at the rear of the plane, doomed to descend to the earth with it. Her luck continued, however, with the wreckage landing over the Czechoslovakian village of Srpska Kamenec and in an array of trees and snow. In a stunning feat of resilience, Vesna Vulovic, the novice stewardess, had survived the crash. She was quickly recovered by a villager named Bruno Honke, who watched in horror as the plane's pieces crashed. To Vesna's continued luck, Honke was a medic in the German army during World War II and sustained her until she could be transported to the hospital. When she arrived there, the physical toll on her body was overwhelming. She'd fractured and hemorrhaged her skull, broken multiple ribs, both her legs, and 14 vertebrae, and topped it all off with a fractured pelvis. With these injuries, on top of the already weakened state she was in from her 10,000-meter fall, doctors' only explanation was that her history of low blood pressure caused her to go unconscious during the plummet, narrowly saving her life. Stunning doctors again, she managed to walk again merely 10 months after the crash, commenting in a 2008 interview that, "Nobody expected me to live this long." Several surgeries and 16 months of recovery later, Vesna's remaining issues lied in a permanently twisted spine and limp, but escaping with her life is something she remains grateful for. A day after the tragedy, a Croatian nationalist claimed responsibility for the bombing, but to this day, no arrests have been made. It was later concluded that the bomb was contained in a briefcase, and while Croatian nationalists were never proven to have caused the crash, Vesna was protected by army guards at her hospital constantly, and the chance the aggressor wanted to take her out completely. Continuing with Vesna's habit of shocking the public, she continued with her interest in flying and wanted to continue as a flight attendant. To her dismay, however, she was seen as a celebrity within the Soviet Union, and that notoriety posed a huge risk for her airline's image. Instead, she negotiated trade contracts and ended her life divorced in a low-quality apartment in Belgrade, with just €300 to her name every month. As mentioned, Vesna was riddled with survivor's guilt, once recounting that, "Whenever I think of the accident, I have a prevailing, grave feeling of guilt for surviving it, and I cry. Then I think maybe I should not have survived it at all." Vesna turned to Christianity as a method to cope with her mental health issues. later becoming a self-proclaimed optimist, swearing that she was invincible following her unlikely survival. In December of 2016, upon reports that Vesna wasn't answering her phone, her body was discovered with no apparent cause of death. Her friends speculate that it was a heart issue, but they haven't been able to pinpoint the reason. While Vesna Vulovic didn't live a perfect life following the crash, her story's end really mirrors the tragedy that she was put through on Flight 367 and paints a sobering image of how many lives are changed or lost following a single event.